What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Creed 2. Again, sorry for this format of videos. My microphone stand actually broke, so I can't actually do filmed videos because I can't stand my microphone everywhere. So I'm currently holding my microphone just to get some good audio quality. So yeah, again, apologies, and I'll probably be like this for the next couple of videos until my new microphone comes. So today we're going to be talking about Creed 2, directed by Stephen Caple Jr., and it's the sequel to 2015's Creed, which was a huge surprise, much better than anyone expected it to be. It was better than it really had any right to be. That was directed by Ryan Coogler, who has since gone on to direct Black Panther, which obviously everyone knows. But this film is again starring Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, also starring Tessa Thompson as his girlfriend Bianca, and Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa in his iconic role that he has recently actually retired, which is a big shame because this is one of the great iconic film characters. So anyway, this film is actually... as well as being a continuation of Creed, it is sort of a continuation of the Rocky IV story. If you remember, Rocky IV is the very famous film. It's a fan favourite Rocky film in which Apollo Creed gets killed by Ivan Drago, the Russian superhuman boxer who Rocky Balboa eventually beats at the end of that film. So this film is a continuation of both Creed and Rocky IV, in which Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan, is challenged to a fight by the son of Ivan Drago, Victor Drago, and the film basically explores the themes of family. The father and son relationship between Ivan Drago and Victor Drago sort of parallels the story of Adonis Creed, how he doesn't have a father, and how Rocky is sort of his in the place of Apollo Creed as Donnie's father figure. And there are some really fantastic themes like that throughout this whole film, and I really enjoyed Creed 2. Michael B. Jordan is again fantastic as Adonis Creed. He really brings to life every single part of Donnie's character. He really highlights his drive and determination, obviously to step out of his father's shadow and to be his own man, really, but he also brings out the more human side in the more humorous ways that he reacts to certain situations that he's not used to. In some situations he's completely out of his league, and the way that he reacts to those situations is actually very funny. Another thing this film touches on is how such determination and such desire to prove yourself can lead to your pride being severely damaged. And that's where we really delve into new parts of Adonis's character, especially in the second act after a certain event happens. I really liked the character direction that this film took. It really expands on its characters that it set up in the first film, really fleshes out those relationships, especially the relationship between Donnie and Bianca, played by Tessa Thompson. It really takes their relationship, their romance to new places. It really expands on the foundation that the first film set up. Their romance is still very sweet. Their chemistry is fantastic, and I really liked where the film took their plot. Sylvester Stallone obviously is fantastic as Rocky Balboa. That goes without saying. The character at this point almost feels like an extension of Sylvester Stallone. He's so real, and the character is so lived in. Even when he's mumbling and grumbling, it feels like a real human being, and he's also very funny in this film. Just some of the lines, they felt improvised. They just felt like a normal guy just sort of moaning about life, but in very funny ways. So he adds some much needed levity to the film, and also really brings it in the dramatic moments. Obviously, Rocky has provided some fantastic inspirational moments throughout film history. Just think about his speech from Rocky Balboa. That is an iconic speech. Also, talking about iconic things from the Rocky franchise, the training montages in this film are fantastic. They just gave me goosebumps. The use of the classic Rocky music, Gonna Fly Now, is used in such a fantastic way. I was almost crying when they brought back those classic Rocky themes. There are so many crowd cheering moments in this film. The fight scenes are helmed very well. Nothing like the one take sequence from the original Creed, but I don't think they wanted to redo something like that. It is more traditionally directed. I'll get more into that a bit later on when I talk about some of the things I didn't really like. But yeah, the fight scenes are directed very well. You can see all the punches land. I'm not sure how much of those punches were... I'm not sure how much of the time stunt doubles were used in those punches, because it really does look like Michael B. Jordan is getting punched in the face many, many times. But that's just another part of his performance. It's a brutal physical performance. He gets beaten up many, many times. But that's just Michael B. Jordan doing his thing. He really is fantastic. I really loved what they did with the Dragos in this film, because in Rocky IV, Ivan Drago is sort of a stereotypical villain. He barely says anything in that film. He kills Apollo Creed. He says a few iconic lines. If he dies, he dies. I will break you. I must break you. Sorry, that's what he says. But I really loved how they fleshed out to both Dragos in this film, and how they parallel Adonis's story with Victor's story, because they're both sons of famous boxers, and they both took different paths after their fathers stopped boxing. Obviously, Adonis, his father died, and he thought he had to prove himself, but he was doing it for himself, and that's what he was doing. Victor Drago, however, is really driven by his father. From the opening scene, which I loved, that scene really sets up perfectly the father-son relationship between Ivan and Victor Drago. Victor is really being used by his father so that his father can prove himself to the people who rejected him after he lost to Rocky. And I loved that part of this film. The film really touches on, again, those fantastic themes of family and pride and the things that we do to prove ourselves. Ivan Drago basically tries to relive his glory days through his son, and I really loved what they did with the Dragos in this film. That just added another extra layer of depth, humanity, extra emotion. There are some really fantastic emotional moments with the Dragos when their success starts building again, and it's really interesting to see how much of a fall from grace Ivan Drago had after the events of Rocky IV, and how much he will do to bring himself and his son back to where he used to be. So those are the things that I really, really loved about this film. As for things that I didn't like, it is very, very predictable. It does stick to the Rocky formula. You can see every story beat coming a mile off. The acts are very clearly defined, the 3-act structure. As soon as I saw each new act coming in, I said to myself, oh, here comes Act 2, and there's the start of Act 3. So yeah, it is quite predictable. It does stick very closely to Rocky formula, which the first Creed really didn't do. That was more of a character study, character drama, an intimate, gritty, realistic take on the boxing film. But this is much more of a Rocky film than a Creed film, and I did think it lost some of Creed's sort of gritty working class realism. It felt a bit less intimate, but again, Creed 2 still has some very lovely character moments, some moments that I can still remember, and I saw it a couple of weeks ago. It also drags a bit in the second act. I really appreciated what they tried to do with the characters, but for a very long stretch of the film, there really isn't much of excitement in terms of boxing happening, which of course I have no issue with. Creed was much more of a character drama than a boxing drama. But again, it does drag a bit in that second act. But overall, those are the only real flaws that I have with the film. I had a great time watching Creed 2. It is definitely a worthy follow-up to Creed. As I said, Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone are both fantastic. I love what they did with the Dragos in this film. It has great themes, great fight scenes, training montages. The score, the classic Rocky score is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to give Creed 2 an A-. Definitely check this one out if you haven't seen it. If you're a fan of the Rocky films, obviously you will want to see this, and it definitely does not let you down. So those are my thoughts on Creed 2. If you guys have seen it, let me know what you thought. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do, and until the next time, goodbye.